covering southeast Georgia and the Lowcountry. WJCL 22 News at 11 starts now.
Tonight at 11, we're tracking Hurricane Idalia. Georgia and South Carolina under a state of emergency, and our meteorologists will show you its path. Plus, we'll have live team coverage tonight in the areas expected to feel Idalia's impacts the most. So let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson. Jeremy, tell us, what's the latest storm update?
All right, thanks, Shannon. And the storm update right now, we have a strengthening hurricane in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, Idalia. Let's check it out here. A well-defined eye has developed within about the last 3 to 4 hours. It's moving in a northerly direction sometime late tonight, early tomorrow morning, turning a little bit more to the north-northeast. So this is a pretty significant change now from the National Hurricane Center. Winds are currently 110 miles per hour. They think right at landfall. This may strengthen to a Category 4 hurricane, and here's another one of the changes. Tomorrow, as this moves across South Georgia, obviously it's going to weaken, but it may hold hurricane intensity very close to the Savannah area or the Savannah River, and then weaken as it pushes through the Carolinas. So that's the forecast position Wednesday, 8 p.m. It has sped it up slightly. That has winds, though, maybe gusting around 80 miles per hour. We'll see if that's true or not. So these hurricane watches, there is the potential. These could be hurricane warnings later tonight or tomorrow morning. So make sure to stay with WJCL 22 for the latest. Bacon and also Pierce County is already under a hurricane warning as this storm begins to move in. Our entire area, the impacts arrive tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings are already in place. So the question is later on, will we see some hurricane warnings expanded across coastal Georgia and the Lowcountry? Current radar, there's the storm churning around into the eastern Gulf. Some of those initial bands of rain will start reaching our area late tonight, and the impacts for our area, 2 to 5 inches or more of rain. The wind gusts 50 to 70 plus miles per hour, highest at the coast and down near the Altamaha River. Coastal flooding and isolated tornadoes, we need to watch that very closely. You can track the very latest. We have all the updates in the free WJCL 22 News app. Check it out.
Well, happening now, Georgia, South Carolina under a state of emergency ahead of Hurricane Idalia's impact.
Georgia and South Carolina governors both issuing statements on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp saying that the state agencies are prepared to take action if the storm impacts Georgia. In South Carolina, Governor Henry McMaster says although the state may avoid the worst of Idalia's impacts, he declared a state of emergency out of an abundance of caution. Here in Savannah, Mayor Van Johnson issuing a local state of emergency. It goes into effect tomorrow at 6 a.m. A local state of emergency allows the city manager to spend resources to prepare for and also to respond to the storm. Most of our viewing area is under a tropical storm alert. Take a look at this map. All of those counties highlighted are under a tropical storm warning. Impacted areas are expected to arrive tomorrow.
And tonight on Tybee Island, residents there are preparing for possible flooding by filling sandbags. WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole joins us now live from the island. Andy, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Shannon. Tybee Island officials tell us they ordered a dump truck full of sand. They tell me when it came here this morning, you could see the sand right here. When it came in this morning, it was about 6 feet tall. I can tell you, I'm not 6 feet tall, which tells me residents are taking this one seriously. How much sleep are you going to get tonight?
I probably will not have any sleep until this storm is well out to sea.
Acting City Manager Michelle Owens is ready for what Idalia has to bring.
We've been busy boarding up facilities, moving things off of the beach, cleaning out our storm drains, and just making sure that our island is as ready for whatever comes our way.
Part of that means bringing in a dump truck full of sand for locals to make sandbags to protect their homes. It's free for Tybee Island residents. This neighbor told me he decided to come out and help by filling bags or dozens in this man's case.
Whenever there's any type of event where people may need to be checked on, they may need a little bit of extra help, our citizens who are able and willing do come to their aid. That's part of the sense of community of living on Tybee.
Owens tells us this sand comes from a company, not Tybee's Beaches, but if they need more, another truckload will come in Wednesday morning for those last-minute preppers.
There's a strong spirit of community on Tybee, and we will all be okay.
Andy, any plans yet for evacuations or plans to close Highway 80?
Yeah, Shannon, as of now, there are no plans for mandatory evacuation, which is why it's so important that Tybee Island residents come to Memorial Park right behind me, fill up their sandbags, and protect their homes. City officials do expect, however, to close down Highway 80 tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night, as they expect rising tides. Reporting now on Tybee Island, I'm Andy Cole, WJCL 22 News.
All right, Andy, thanks so much. And we will update you on air and online if and when Highway 80 closes. Well, people on River Street are preparing for the storm, and our meteorologists tell us the timing of the storm really matters.
If it hits at high tide, there's a greater potential for flooding. That's exactly what happened back in 2017 when Irma hit. Take a look at this video from 2017. You can see it right there, a car flooded with water on River Street. It has been a while since a storm hit of that type of magnitude. Many merchants say it will be business as usual until they know more about the storm's impact. Some are putting out sandbags just like they did on Tybee Island, closing tomorrow just to be careful like the Georgia Queen. Others tell us they're just going to play it by ear. FEMA announcing today that ahead of Idalia's arrival, federal disaster assistance has been made available to Florida. WJCL 22 News' Brooke Butler heard from FEMA officials today. And Brooke, will they extend this assistance to Georgia and South Carolina?
Well, Greg, a FEMA spokesperson said they're in regular contact with leaders from both of our states and are ready to act if need be.
We have liaisons with each of those states so that we have good open lines of communications so that should there be any requirements that we can rapidly meet those needs. We have commodities pre-staged in our warehouses located in the Atlanta area, and then we pre-positioned our search and rescue assets to be able to respond to requirements across any of the impacted areas.
I also heard from the Red Cross today. They've opened a number of shelters throughout the state of Florida. Right now, they don't have any open in Georgia or South Carolina, but that may change. They say if a shelter does open, their website, redcross.org, will be updated within 30 minutes. Greg.
And Brooke, let's talk about shelters. Do we know when any of these shelters might open here?
Well, Greg, if any do open, they will likely open sometime tomorrow morning. And of course, you can always stay updated by visiting our website, WJCL.com. Back to you.
Brooke Butler reporting live in the newsroom. Thanks so very much.
And in the Lowcountry, Beaufort County leaders are preparing for whatever Idalia may bring. The town of Hilton Head Island says to make sure you're getting your information from official sources only. Hilton Head Island Fire Rescue has 3 boat teams ready. They also have teams on standby for downed trees. They want to remind you to stay off the roads if they're flooded. And of course, make sure you have your emergency kit ready to go.
We really want to make certain that every resident and every visitor and every guest that we have is safe. And now is the time to prepare, get water, get perishable, non-perishable foods, get candles, extra batteries. If you need medication, get medication.
This time, there are no shelters open in the Lowcountry, but if something does open up, you can visit the South Carolina Emergency Management website for locations. WJCL 22 News' Kyra Naveau joins us now live from our Hilton Head Bureau. And Kai, you talked to a business that plans to ride out this storm.
Hey, Shannon, I spoke to the owner of Bones Bar and Grill here in Hilton Head. He says he is keeping an eye on the storm but plans to stay open in case people are looking for a place to hang out or, as he says, rise the storm. But also feel this could potentially grow his business.
As Idalia
Idalia approaches the South Carolina Lowcountry, many are choosing to ride out the storm.
I expect a lot of wind, a lot of rain, but nothing more, nothing less than that. Maybe a little flooding in the lower areas.
Anthony Barone is the owner of Bones Bar and Grill on Hilton Head. He plans to keep his business open on the date of impact because of requests from his regular guests and hopefully to receive an influx of new patrons.
I'm going to stay open. You know, I'm going to give all my employees the option if they'd like to leave. I'm not going to force anyone to come work. I'll be honest, I'll probably open the bar myself just for people that want to ride out the storm and have nowhere to go.
The bar hosts weekly trivia, and on Tuesday night before Idalia, all tables have been reserved. While coastal Georgia and the South Carolina Lowcountry brace for the storm, many guests from Tuesday plan to return Wednesday.
We have a very big local following, very, very low competitive prices. So, you know, we just make it a fun experience for everybody.
And Shannon, like you said, the town of Hilton Head is recommending people to stay indoors, off the roads, and especially off those bridges connecting the islands together. Now, if you do well, they're asking people to stay safe and to really make smart decisions. Back to you, Shannon.
All right, some great advice. Thanks so much, Kai.
GDOT is closing several bridges ahead of Idalia, including the Talmadge Bridge. It will close 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. This closure will remain in place until further notice. Next at 11, Hurricane Idalia is inching closer to Florida by the moment of the urgent warning from FEMA.
Plus, counties along the coast aren't the only ones keeping track of Idalia's path. The message from officials in Bullitt County urging everyone to stay put and stay safe.
And the National Hurricane Center says Idalia may make landfall as a Category 4 storm. We'll show you when it turns to the northeast. We'll detail winds for southeast Georgia and the Lowcountry, and also how much rain in your neighborhood coming up.
It's the night before the storm and people are out and about.
We continue our team coverage now with WJCL 22 News' Nakaya Carrero. Nakaya, you are live in downtown Savannah where you're finding out some people are venturing out even if some businesses are closed.
Yeah, that's right, Greg and Shannon. We're here live in downtown Savannah, surrounded by bars, clubs, and restaurants. And as you can see behind me, it's not as packed as it typically is, but some people decided, you know, they're going to venture out ahead of the storm. We saw a few people out and about exploring downtown ahead of Idalia arriving tomorrow. Another thing we saw were several closed signs on business windows. One reading, due to anticipated weather conditions, we will be closed Wednesday. Some business even laying out sandbags ahead of anticipated rainfall. And we spoke to a couple who says the small crowds speak volumes.
It tells me that people they think they're scared, that they don't know what to think, so they're going to stay in just in case.
It's also a Tuesday, so I mean, I wouldn't expect too many people out in general, but yeah, maybe they're just prepping. We've seen the sandbags and stuff in some stores, and so maybe they're just taking extra precaution.
Yeah. And Nakaya, you also spoke to some local businesses.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. I surely did. As me and our camera guy, Dan, were walking around downtown, we asked some of the businesses who are open tonight if they'll be open tomorrow. And they said absolutely not. They will be closed. And some of the people we spoke to actually said that is the reason why they decided to come out tonight.
Get a chance to get out and enjoy it while you can before the storm arrives. Nakaya Carrero reporting live in downtown. Thanks so very much.
Well, counties along the coast aren't the only ones keeping track of Idalia's path. Bullitt County could see lots of rain and wind from the storm. Officials are urging everyone to stay off the roads if possible.
Don't have a reason to be out there starting tomorrow afternoon throughout tomorrow night. Unless this thing changes, there's really no reason for you to be out there. It's going to be real windy and it's going to be real wet. So.
Bullitt County officials are also urging residents not to call 911 if their power is out. Only use it to report downed power lines. Well, shoppers are hitting the store preparing to hunker down for Idalia. Today, people stocked up on water and other essentials. Inside grocery stores, crowds of people filling the lines, and shoppers tell us their experience went pretty smooth.
The crowd is not that bad. I was in and out.
And I was definitely seeing some low stock shelves already, so I think people are starting to prepare for what's to come.
Oh, it's crazy. Everyone's very friendly in there. There's nobody like freaking out, but you know, the shelves are starting to kind of be bare, and everyone's buying their packs of water, and their carts are much fuller than I think they would normally be. So there's a little bit of panic buying.
Now, some of the top things people are buying is water, non-perishable food items, their favorite snacks, and baby formula.
This hurricane is posing a particular threat in the city of Tampa. As ABC's Ika Jachi reports, the city's main hospital installing a flood barrier to protect it from the storm surge.
Hurricane Idalia inching closer to land. The storm, now a Category 2 hurricane with wind speeds in excess of 105 miles per hour, expected to hit Florida's Big Bend on Wednesday morning. The National Weather Service calling Idalia an unprecedented event, since no major hurricanes on record have ever passed through the region. Idalia's outer bands already causing havoc in the Sunshine State. Winds picking up speed, rough surf in the Keys, tornado warnings near Naples. But the biggest concern, life-threatening storm surge. Governor Ron DeSantis ordering evacuations for low-lying areas in 22 counties.
It's the strongest hurricane since I've lived here, 40 years. It's come to our area.
FEMA urging families to follow the evacuation orders and get out while there's still time.
If you are in a storm surge warning area, it could mean just traveling 10 or 20 miles to get out of the most significant impact areas. It does not mean having to travel hundreds of miles to get out of the storm's path.
Here in Tampa, the city's main hospital erecting an aqua fence around the building to keep the water out. Further north, the barrier island of Cedar Key, boarded up. Almost everyone is gone. Governor Ron DeSantis says the city could see up to 13 feet of storm surge. All this as state and federal emergency crews make preparations. Elite urban search and rescue teams are on the ground, along with power crews from as far away as Maine, anticipating major power outages. The Florida National Guard deploying 5,500 guardsmen to assist with storm prep and response, all while the DoD stands ready to assist. The storm is now causing concerns in neighboring states. Georgia, North, and South Carolina are now in a state of emergency. In Tampa, Ika Jachi, ABC News.
All right, come to your television sets. Check out this live video from Fort Myer, Florida. You can see the wind there just buffeting that structure. It appears to be maybe a port, or at least a boat ramp. And in the distance, we're told lightning has been flashing all evening as the storm, the hurricane, certainly is starting to approach landfall. Jeremy, you can now see the updated path of the storm.
Yeah, and there are some changes we really need to discuss here, Greg. National Hurricane Center just put out their 11 p.m. advisory. Winds are at 110 miles per hour. Notice that, too, will be a Category 3 storm, and then the Hurricane Center saying a major Category 4 at landfall here. Big Bend, far eastern part of the Panhandle. A quick turn then to the northeast. It will weaken over land, but still the potential there right along the Savannah River. This forecast here at 8 p.m. still showing winds 70 to 80 miles per hour. So the National Hurricane Center has said potential hurricane for southeast Georgia, weakening as it goes into the Lowcountry. So here's the changes just within the last few minutes. We now have hurricane warnings for Jeff Davis, Appling, Wayne, Bacon, and Pierce counties. Hurricane watches have been expanded now a little bit farther inland: Tattnall, Evans, Bullock, Effingham County, and then Beaufort, Jasper, Chatham, Bryan, Liberty, Long, and McIntosh County. You need to be taking your preparations in case this does not weaken and we have a hurricane over our area. Tropical storm alerts. Pretty much everyone, if you're not in the hurricane warning, you're in a tropical storm warning. Winds, remember, with tropical storm force could be upwards of 70 miles per hour. So when you're talking about a hurricane, you need those winds 74 or higher. Storm Tracker Radar Network. Here is the center right now of Idalia, and it's tracking its way to the north. We do expect that north-northeast turn, landfall in this general vicinity. Red line there. That is a tornado watch, and I would not be surprised if we see a tornado watch for coastal Georgia into the Lowcountry Wednesday morning into the afternoon, and here's why. System makes landfall sometime tomorrow morning, I would say between 6 and 8 a.m. And then we have to watch offshore. These feeder bands that will come rotating in, that's the concern for a spin-up tornado. Look at this heavy swath of rain, especially near and west of I-95. And then the winds start ramping up during the afternoon hours. They'll be coming in from the Atlantic, also wrapping around that system, which potentially could still be a hurricane over our area. And then it is quickly gone as we go into the evening hours Thursday morning, pretty quiet. Future wind gusts, I'm just going to fast forward to the core of the winds, the strongest, Altamaha River and Point South. Potential for these hurricane force wind gusts, and that would be early to mid-afternoon. Some of those stronger winds start to spread their way off to the north and east. And if we get the low over our area, remember, the eye is a little calmer part, so wherever that moves, your winds may drop down. But west and also east of it, you'll still have probably 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And then during the evening hours, we'll start to see that track to the north and east. The winds would start to relax as we go through late Wednesday evening, and then especially into Thursday morning. Thursday overall, a pretty quiet day. Lots of impacts for our area, and we have team weather coverage to break it all down for you. Here is meteorologist Victoria Coquinos.
Thanks, Sherry. One of our main concerns as we head towards Wednesday afternoon, towards the evening hours, before this does clear out, will be that storm surge and also that threat for some coastal flooding. We are in a storm surge watch east of I-95. 2 to 4 feet of storm surge is possible. Again, this is just a watch for now. It depends on this if this lines up with high tide. So Wednesday morning high tide forecast is at 8.8 feet. That's not what we're really concerned about, mainly towards 9 p.m. Now the system is starting to speed up with the track, but if it does slow down towards tomorrow evening, lines up with that high tide, it could reach 10.3 feet. Now that's the forecast high tide. Flood stage is at 9.5, and of course Highway 80 closes around 10 feet. So this is something we'll keep an eye on. That's why we're in that storm surge watch. As we continue to move west of I-95 for tomorrow, we could see rain totals 3 to 6 inches. West of I-95 will definitely have the heaviest rains. We talked about that isolated tornado threat and wind gusts from about 40 to 60 miles per hour. Now we are in a hurricane watch for our coastal areas as well, east of I-95. So our main concerns will be the wind gusts east of I-95 that could top 70. Definitely could see some power outages tomorrow afternoon. Jeremy?
All right, let's break it down for you here. Tomorrow's an alert weather day, obviously, with either Category 1 hurricane, strong tropical storm pushing through our area. The rain chances, they're out there in the morning, but they'll ramp up during the afternoon, and along with that, some wind-driven rain across parts of our area. Let's get you right to your 10-day forecast. We have a couple of them for you. Let's start with Savannah and inland. Our weather conditions go downhill basically by Wednesday afternoon. Worst of the weather out of here on Wednesday night. So Thursday overall a pretty quiet day. Holiday weekend forecast will deserve that. Maybe a little cleanup to do across the area, and we're hoping any power outages that may occur as the storm blows through would quickly be restored. We know the crews do an awesome job. We get plenty of summertime thunderstorms where we see those sporadic power outages. This is different though. This is a little more widespread across our area with that wind field, the heavy rain, and then our coastal communities, the potential for the coastal flooding. So Hilton Head Island, Tybee Island, the rest of your 10-day forecast heading into the weekend, mid-80s, and the nighttime lows into the 70s. Once we get Idalia through our area, we will be looking at a little quieter stretch of weather. You can track our certified most accurate forecast in the free WJCL 22 News app. Check it out.
Welcome into sports. I'm Amy Zimmer. Less than 2 weeks into fall sports and schedules already being altered. Schools anticipating severe weather due to Idalia. Sporting events cancellations being made across coastal Georgia and the South Carolina Lowcountry due to school closures. The Savannah and Chatham County Public School System announcing all sporting events are canceled Wednesday and Thursday. A decision regarding if high school football teams will play Friday will be made on Thursday. Other school district closures include Effingham, Bryan, Bullock, Appling, and Beaufort County. You can find a full list on our website, WJCL.com. Let's look at sports. Stay with us.
Let's check back in with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson for a final update.
Jeremy, some counties have been added to the hurricane warning.
Yeah, the warning and the watch for our area. So let's talk about that warning. Jeff Davis, Appling, Wayne counties have been added to the hurricane warning. A lot of our inland areas here, like Bullitt County, down towards Evans County and Tattnall County, hurricane watch. We will be watching this so closely. Here's why. Landfall tomorrow morning potential. This is still a hurricane in southeast Georgia.
All right, Jeremy, the WJCL 22 morning team will kick off our continuing coverage of tracking Idalia starting at 4 a.m.
And make sure to download the WJCL 22 News app for storm updates. We'll see you back.